We completed restoring this late 1950s or possibly early 1960s, 60, 61, 62 possibly, Heiwa Pachinko machine. This quick start guide will show you how to set it up and play. Stabilize these machines so they don't fall over. One way to do it is you can just take a board, screw a couple of them to the bottom. We sell those at vintagepachinko.com. You can also mount it in a cabinet as well to hang on the wall or set on the table. You'll want to take a few balls and just put them here in your receiving tray. We'll want to reset the seesaw and make sure it's in the proper position. Now your machine, if you have one similar to this, may have a cover over this area, and if you do, you may have a pin on the bottom that you push up, and when you push it up, it'll reset this seesaw. That's the correct position. A few machines you actually have a button on the top that you push, and when you push, it pushes a rod that resets the seesaw. So if this is in this position, balls will back up in your machine and they won't pay out. So you always want to make sure that it's in this position. Put the balls into the supply tray. We want to push this lever down here, down, because that way it'll catch the balls and stop them here. Now you take your bucket. You might just want to test with a few balls. Okay, now we'll pour more. Take the bucket and we'll set it down here to catch balls coming out of this chute and out of this chute. First time you load a machine, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to prime the pump. You're going to have to get balls into the jackpot payout assembly, which is here. So you got one of two ways to do it. One, you could just drop a ball in and into any of the pockets in front, and as they do, they'll come in here, they'll activate a jackpot, and it won't pay out because there are no balls here, but the balls that are basically here will fall in and load the assembly. I'll show you that. Okay, so now the balls are here ready for the next jackpot. Empty those balls out. Another way you could do it is there's a lever here, and you push it out of the way. Then if you gently pull down on this arm, and this arm goes all the way across and up, and what it'll do is it'll activate a jackpot and it'll fill this up. So we're going to do that. Okay, so one of those two ways, you do that to get balls in here. Now we can double check the seesaw, it's in the right position. Play. What you need to do is you need to load a ball into the shooter lane, so pick one out of your receiving tray, drop it here. What will happen is the ball will roll across this ramp and into your shooter lane. I don't have the glass in right now. So now if I pull down and launch the ball, if the glass had been there, it would have held the ball in, and if I pulled hard enough, it would have launched all the way around and entered into the playfield. I left the glass off because I want to drop a few balls in pockets so we can see what happens when we do that. So you can see some balls back in here. That's the jackpot assembly. So when the jackpot gets paid out, the balls that are in there will fall down into your receiving tray up front. They'll hit a couple of bells along the way. And then this will refill it back up. I'm going to drop a ball in this top pocket here. Okay, it went in, entered into this, which spins, and then went out the back and paid. Spinners here just act to deflect the ball. So as the balls come down, it'll spin one way or the other, and the ball will go off in different directions. Your object is either to hit that top pocket or to get it into any one of these pockets. All these pockets, it doesn't matter which pocket you get it in, the jackpot is exactly the same. So you get paid out the same number of balls, and the bells will ring. We'll drop it in this one here. And same if we did it over here. If you don't get it to go in any of the pockets, it'll roll down this ramp and exit through here, and it'll fall into the bucket and back. Okay. Now, when you put a ball into the shooter lane, it's designed to shoot one at a time. So Yeah, you don't want to put several balls in here because then they'll all stack up, and if you try and shoot, it's probably not enough power to launch them all on the playfield. You know, tell your guest just to put one in at a time. If you get 3, 4, 5, 6 balls, you may have to remove the glass to get the balls out. This window here was designed for pachinko parlors. When you were playing, if you won jackpots but there wasn't enough balls in the supply tray and back to pay out, it would be a holding area to hold your jackpots for you until an attendant came by and he would refill the machine and he would pay out those balls. On this particular model, those parts weren't working, so we just put a few balls in here for decoration. In this top corner here is a little window, and you can see balls in there. If you ever look in there and you don't see any balls, then it's time to refill your supply tray. The other thing you need to refill your supply tray and back is probably if you get a jackpot, if you get a ball to go into any of these pockets and it doesn't pay out, stop right away, turn the machine around, and see what the problem is. Most likely it's just refilling the machine with balls, but since these are metal parts, sometimes they can jam and you may have to clear those jams. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Now, a lot of the machines, especially from the late 50s, didn't have lights on them. So if you're thinking pachinko machines have lights, some of the newer ones do, from the 60s and on up, but this one doesn't. So all you hear is the bells. You don't have any lights flash. Now, right above each pocket, you see that little hole there? There's actually a pin in back, and if you wanted to, you could push that pin through just a little bit, and if you push it through, it can actually block balls from going into this pocket. So for home use, naturally you wouldn't want to do that, but it could be possibly one way that pachinko parlors could favor the game towards their benefit by doing that, and then preventing you from getting jackpots. So if that pin is ever pushed through, like on this one, you can just get a screwdriver and push it back down, or maybe even with your finger you can push it back down. What that pin looks like from the back, sometimes they'll have covers over jackpot really quick. So we saw it earlier, but basically a ball will go in, it'll enter the seesaw will pivot, the ball will come down here, push this lever out of the way, releasing this arm, then that ball will just fall down in the bucket. With that arm released, this arm will pivot down, pushing this rod up. As it pushes this rod up, this part here will pivot with these balls. These balls will fall down, hit this arm here. When they hit that arm, it'll actually reset your seesaw for you. Then they'll roll down that arm around here and enter the jackpot. Also, whenever they push down, whenever this arm pivots down, in addition to resetting the seesaw, it moves this lever here. I'm going to open the cover. It moves that lever, and that lever is blocking a door that has your balls for your payout. So when that lever comes up, the balls that are inside here are released and fall out, falling down, hitting this bell, going down here and into your receiving tray. I'm going to zoom up on the top half. We'll take a look at operations, and we'll look at the bottom. They'll fall down, like I say, hit this bell. However, there's a device here which should end, and when I do, now instead of the balls falling down to the front, they'll fall, hit this, and go out across the back. And you probably need to have a bucket or something to catch them, otherwise you're going to have balls everywhere. Probably don't need this for home use. We'll just leave this like